The De la Cruz Collection is a museum located in Miami's Design District, built in December of 2009. And this year's exhibition, House in Motion, New Perspectives, represents the collection's history, bringing together paintings, sculptures, and site-specific installations from the couple's private collection. As soon as you step in, you are welcomed by a small photograph of a hand. It's an artwork by Felix Gonzalez Torres, and actually it is the hand of the nurse that was caring for his partner Ross, who was suffering from AIDS. And next to it, there's an artwork of a bigger hand by artist Glenn Ligon. Moving on, there's two installations that went up at the De la Cruz Collection in 2019, and still from Glenn Ligon, Debris Field number 1 and number 3. As you proceed towards the center of the room, you are greeted by the Portales sculpture, The Big Dipper, by Dan Colin. The Big Dipper is the first of Colin's basketball backboard sculptures, bent to form a complete circle. The backboards are shattered and yet frozen in place, echoing both the sublimity of crystalline ice formations and the explosive moment of an NBA slam dunk, powerful enough to break half an inch thick tempered glass. Here is another famous work by Felix Alex Torres, consisting of two stacks of paper. The twin stack reads, "Nowhere better than this place," and "Somewhere better than this place." In its original installation, the artist directed that the stacks be endlessly replenished, as viewers were encouraged to take sheets of the paper home with them. Next to this, you can see the candies, still an artwork from Torres. They represent the body of Ross, his partner, who passed from AIDS-related complications. In the act of taking and diminishing parallels how the disease depleted his body. The mass of candy is prescribed to be 175 pounds, which is equivalent to Ross's weight when he was healthy. So both the two large cubes as well as the candy reference the monumental and spare sculpture of minimalism, and the two works also draw from conceptual art, in which the idea of the artwork as opposed to its visual manifestation is paramount. So coming up right in front of you are two artworks by Glenn Ligon, Debris Field number 2 on the left and Debris Field number 5 on the right. On this other back wall are a series of works by Christopher Wool. And in the same room, you will see in a moment some sculptures by, right here, by Thomas Hauseago. And these here coming up are still some artworks by Christopher Wool. Here we are still on the first floor, and you're able to see the centerpiece from Sterling Ruby, among pieces by artists Joe Bradley and Kelly Walker. Sterling Ruby works in a large variety of media, including ceramics, painting, collage, and video. His profile as an artist on the global stage has continued to rise in the years since art critic Roberta Smith of the New York Times in 2008 called him one of the most interesting artists to emerge in the 20th century. The artist has cited a diverse range of sources and influences in his work, including aberrant psychologies like schizophrenia and paranoia, urban gangs and graffiti, hip-hop culture, craft punk, masculinity, violence, public art, prisons, globalization, American domination and decline, waste, and consumption. His voracious cycling through materials and subject matters has given rise to recurring series and extended bodies of work. So we have arrived on the second floor, which is split up into smaller, more intimate side galleries that allow for more focused and nuanced curating. This piece coming up with this metal panel on top is called Disco Soon Ground Zero from 2008, and it's an architectural model proposed by artist Isaac Angson as a memorial site at Manhattan's Ground Zero, accompanied by models of a hospital, a church, and a clothes shop. Gensen imagined this structure to function as a discotheque that would bring people together in the face of tragedy. Using colored plastics, pellucid mylar, and shiny chrome, Gensken imagined a space that would support collective healing through gathering and human interaction. So coming up ahead are two works by artist Patricia Iris. She draws from her background in fashion to create fleshy forms which are restricted and bound by elastic bands in almost a prayer-like position. The artist ponders physical forces which deconstruct the human form, alluding to social political pressures associated with mass incarceration and organized religion. Iris's forms assert their dominance, ascending like weighty spires in defiance of the forces which constrain them. Coming up on the wall is Nate Lohman's mixed media map of the United States called In Pieces and in Stitches from 2017. Here you can see Vaughan Span's Beyond the Fray, Big Black Rainbow from 2021. It is made out of polymer paint, terry cloth, canvas on stretch bars, and in terms of size, it's 80 by 84 inches. Here, hanging on the wall and right beneath it, you can see two works by Catherine Andrews, who skillfully blends pop imagery and materials in her paired artworks. In Déjeuner number 1, Girl with Napkin, Visor, Lemon, Lighter, and Shuttlecock, a slender glimpse of a female face gazes over a metal composition of plates and poles, topped with a motorcycle helmet. This playful piece engages viewers by reflecting their presence in the metallic surfaces, subtly prompting contemplation of industrial forms and challenging themes of industry, mass culture, and gender roles. Alongside it, Charlie's Angels features a striking arrangement of plates and poles with a motorcycle helmet as its centerpiece. Together, these works create a compelling dialogue, inviting viewers to explore the intersection of pop culture and profound societal concepts. Here you can see The Gift, another work by Catherine Andrews from 2011. Here are some other pieces from the second floor. This room features three works by Christina Corliss, a bisexual, biracial painter who explores notions of identity and self-expression. These canvases are flanked by an Alex Katz portrait of Hope Atherton, painter and wife of Gavin Brown, and 3 beautiful abstract works by Peter Doig. But Quarles holds her own against these masters. The twisting, contoured figures in distinctive color palettes exude the emotion of personal discovery and arguably tell a far more intimate story than the more recognizable works by Katz and Doig, as these ones here. So the collection is a typical destination during our Basel, Miami Beach. The museum is privately funded by the couple, where for over 30 years they have shared with the public their passion for art, collecting, and education. And it mainly serves as an extension to their home, where a big part of the collection still remains till this day. So, coming up in this room are a series of works by American artist Wade Guyton. He is a printmaker best known for his black monochromes made with an Epsilon inkjet printer. In his early work, he used a desktop printer to lay black X shapes, which would become his signature mark over pages taken from interior design catalogs. His work recycles images using inkjet printing, photosilk screening, and stenciling to imitate abstract painting. For a series of large-scale untitled works from 2007-2008, Guyton printed black ink on pieces of stretched linen using an Epsilon 9600 printer. These works appear to follow the tradition of abstract expressionism, but the inconsistencies on the surface of the canvases depend on the amount of ink in the printer, not on the artist's hand. Through this technique, Guyton questions the value of artistic skill in an age when abstract art is proliferated by mechanical reproduction. In 2009, he began a series of black and white stripes produced by printing digital files of the stripes on pieces of folded linen, which record inconsistencies in ink and the scratches made by dragging the fabric across the floor to feed into the printer. So, moving on to the top floor, you encounter Gabriel Orozco's 1994 piece For Bicycles, There's Always One Direction, presented in a mechanical crescendo. This artwork comprises 4 bicycles intricately fused onto a dynamic configuration resembling an acrobatic spectacle. The lighting design enhances the sculpture's presence, casting shadows that create additional circular shapes and distinct spokes, amplifying both the form and the spatial dimension it occupies. Here on this back wall are a series of untitled works by Rudolf Stingel. His monochromatic silver paintings are saturated with a sense of opulence. There is a highly tactile quality in the textures of these paintings that make them sensual to the viewer. Stingel silkscreens oil and enamel paint through fabric, which produces delicate images as well as creating works that act like ghostly mirrors. While being visually seductive, these canvases challenge the notion of what constitutes a painting. So on this wall coming up are a series of works by Martin Kippenberger. Specifically in the center is Untitled 1992, which is a distorted self-portrait from the artist's hand-painted picture series. While hanging from the wall here is an artwork by Gabriel Orozco called Kiss of the Egg from 1998. The artist here is reflecting on how one might become estranged from the everyday act of kissing. This whole section here is dedicated to artist Cosima von Bonin, who brings her installation of anthropomorphic sea creatures to explore sinister forces of authority and violence. So her continuous interest for the ocean, the deep sea, and marine life in general is portrayed through these installations, which she brought forward to various exhibitions like this octopus or the shark in the background. And the whole idea really behind these works is to highlight a series of contradictions between the deep sea, the organisms living in this setting, like sharks, and how they're portrayed in the media, and what people really expect of them versus how they really behave and what they really are. And also the contradiction between the organisms living in the sea, so the marine life, and the vacation aspect of the sea. So also uniting and inserting pop culture into the how it's connected to marine life in general. So on the third floor, there is a dedicated space for Cuban-born artist Ana Mendieta, which almost resembles a shrine honoring her memory. There's a certain spirituality in the concept that after death, one's body returns to the earth, decomposes, and potentially enriches the soil, fostering more life. Mendieta uniquely addresses this cycle of life and death, utilizing her own physical body in a purposeful manner. Considering her tragic death, a fall from the 34th floor of a Greenwich Village apartment, Mendieta's work takes on a morbid and prophetic tone. Photographs of her imprint in the ground, sometimes stained red, evoke the circumstances of her untimely demise. The arrangement of photographic prints on a specific wall of the room seems to highlight the gruesome nature of her death. Yet the irony of this death and the connection to her work add another layer of depth to Mendieta's artistic legacy. So this here is the portrait of Dolores Suero Falla from 1955, made by Salvador Dali. It may come as a surprise to see a Dali painting in the context of a contemporary art collection, but it is an heirloom that tells a story of the De la Cruz family's long-time appreciation for the arts. So here is some additional material by artist Felix Gonzalez Torres, some letters he wrote, and together with some toys, rubber and plastic toys from the 50s, 60s, 70s, that he started to collect in 1990, which was a really rough time for the artist. One day at the flea market, which is one of the places that he loves the most, he bought a couple and took them home. And from that, the artist claimed that it made him happy, and he didn't stop ever since. These here are some canvases from American multimedia artist, writer, and designer from Los Angeles, Alex Israel. Based in both the Alapata neighborhood of Miami and in Washington, D.C., the Rubell Museum supports art education with one of the world's largest private contemporary art collections. Upon entering the museum, you straight away encounter Kusama's mesmerizing monumental Narcissus Garden from 1966. Composed of 700 stainless steel spheres, the work flows 200 feet along the museum's central gallery, creating an ever-changing river of reflection. The Rubell also currently hosts the Infinity Rooms, Where the Lights in My Head Go from 2016, and Infinity Mirrored Rooms, Let's Survive Forever from 2017. These two fully immersive installations create a kaleidoscopic effect that transports visitors to an alternate, limitless universe. So in this room, you will be able to see works by Cecily Brown, Miriam Khan, Marlène Dumas, Jenna Gribbin, Juanita McNeely, and Chabalala Self, followed by works in an adjacent room by Jean-Michel Basquiat. The Rubell Museum supports art education with one of the world's largest private contemporary art collections. The cornerstone of an international enterprise, the Rubell Family Collection, Contemporary Arts Foundation celebrates established and emerging artists alike. In this room, you can see the installation. This piece has no title yet, from 1989, made of beer cans, flags, steel scaffolding, paint, and mixed media. And it's been in the Rubell family collection since its acquisition in 1996. Here you can see Glenn Ligon's America from 2008, neon sign and paint. This section here presents works by Maurizio Cattelan, as you can see right here, Damien Hirst, Jeff Koons, and Richard Prince. So here you can see images from the exhibition, which is currently running at the museum Singular Views Los Angeles, which was inaugurated on December 4th, 2023, and will be running until October of 2024. LA artists have always been a cornerstone of the Rubell Museum, and in 2006, the group exhibition Red Eye LA Artists from the Rubell family collection explored the cross-generational influences of 36 artists working between the 1980s and mid-2000s. This exhibition reflects the Rubell's Singular Views Los Angeles, reflects the Rubell's continued commitment 17 years later to discovering and sharing new art creating in this multifaceted city, LA. The exhibition focuses on 16 artists working across painting, sculpture, and video, who mine the psychological, emotional, and imagined spaces that compose LA, creating their own contemporary archaeology and cultural anthropology. Many of these artists utilize physical backdrops that reference storefronts, automobiles, graffiti-written facades, and human flesh. The remnants of a post-industrial age mixed with highly personalized motives characterize these works. The artworks reflect and deflect personal connections, traditions, and concerns of a culture unique to LA while recognizing origins from afar. These artists open our eyes to a new understanding of life in the diversely complex landscape that is LA. Some artists showing in this section include Diana Iseni Alvarado, Mario Ayala, Tania Cancino, Neemeya Cisnernos, Karen Davis, Noah Davis, Alfonso Gonzalez Jr., Truly Hall, and so on. So, coming up in sequence, you will see two other exhibitions currently showing. The first one is Basil Kincaid, Spirit in the Gift 2023 Artists in Residence. The post-disciplinary practice of Basil Kincaid, a St. Louis born artist who splits their time between the US and Africa, examines relationships between ancestry, place, and the contemporary construct itself. Throughout their work, Kincaid incorporates quilting, collaging, photography, installation, performance, and the use of found materials. Here you can see the works of Alejandro Pinheiro Bello, an Havana-born, Miami-based artist who focuses on the Caribbean diaspora, Cuba, and the surrounding island nation's cultural identities, imagery, and history. He paints the social cultural mystic splendor of the Caribbean's culture using traditional materials such as oil on raw linen or burlap, and works with a strong color palette to create images that capture the region's fecundity. This amazing room features works by Keith Haring and Sterling Ruby. This section holds works from Christian Boltanski, Anselm Kiefer, Neo Roch, Rosemary Trockle, and Paloma Varga wastes. Here you can see the work I Am a Flower from 2021, made by Kennedy Yanko. She is a painter, sculptor, and the Rubell Museum's 2021 artist in residence. During her residency, Yanko scoured scrapyards in South Florida in search of ready-made forms ripe for intervention. Her practice is often a meditation on materials, which may be bent, poured, cut, welded, or softened. Yanko creates thick, velvety skins of paint, which she weaves through looming heaps of metal. The 4 abstract sculptures created during the residency, I Am a Flower, I Am Water, and I Am That, express elements of her lived experiences. This room has works by Henry Taylor, as you can see, Barclay Hendricks, and Cain de Wiley. Followed in the last rooms of the Rubell Museum by works from Takashi Murakami, Aya Takano, and Yoshitomo Nara. Consistently named to lists such as the Art News Top 200 collectors, the Margulies collection is considered by curators, critics, artists, dealers, and collectors alike as one of the most important collections of its kind. Upon entering the museum, the first collection you encounter is Motherwell, Siegel, and Stella, currently showing at Margulies until April of 2024. The exhibition features seminal works by 3 of the most outstanding American artists of the second half of the 20th century. Many large works were actually transported from the private collection of Martin Margulies, especially for this exhibition. What you just saw on the bench and right in front of you are works by George Siegel, who became prominent during the pop art movement of the 60s and worked directly with the human form. The figures are set in an actual environment, a dive bar with a Budweiser beer neon sign, a New York City subway car, a park bench, and a Depression-era bread line. This next room shows the only sculpture exhibition, which presents 9 large-scale sculptures ranging from 1965 through 2022. Many of the works in the show are indicative of the approach of the sculptural giants of the 1960s and 70s who formed, welded and bent industrial materials such as Corten steel and aluminum on a monumental scale. 2 prime examples are Joel Perlman's welded steel works Nightfall and Diamond Rough. In addition, Newport by Kenneth Nelson shows this principle of tensegrity, combining tension and integrity, which he developed after working with renowned architect Buckminster Fuller at Black Mountain College in the late 1940s. Contemporary artist Anna Fassauer engages directly with the practices of the sculptors of the late 20th century. By contrast to their work, she uses only her body and a rivet gun to make her sculptures. This section here presents 176 photographs from master street photographer Helen Levitt. On view are works from her New York street scenes, First Proofs, Graffiti, and Trip to Mexico City, and Subway Portrait series she made with Walker Evans in 1938. Here is another current exhibition currently on view at the museum until April of 2024, and it shows works by Mimmo Palladino, who returns to the Margulies collection with a solo exhibit of 9 paintings and bronze sculptures ranging from 1990 to 2022. Right in front of you in the meantime is Heroes of Garden from 2022. Mimmo Palladino's career dates to the avant-garde movements of the 1960s and 70s. His works layer figurative, non-figurative, decorative, and symbolic images steeped in the rich cultural heritage of his Italian homeland. This solo exhibition by Palladino is seen as a continuation of decades-long interest in contemporary Italian art by the Margulies. In these following rooms here, you can enjoy works by famed artists Anselm Kiefer and Richard Serra. And these works are part of the permanent collection of the Margulies. All of these pictures coming up here are part of the Photography Study Center at the Margulies Collection, which is a center for the education and research of contemporary and vintage photography, with a mission to further visual literacy in the community. The Margulies Collection is the largest photography collection of its kind in South Florida, with over 4,000 vintage and contemporary works from the most important figures of the 20th and 21st century. These last rooms show works by young cutting-edge artists recently acquired in the collection, and this year's new to the collection features 2 new paintings by German artists, Jenny Brozinski, a ceramic figurative sculpture by Rose Simpson, and a textile work of Eric Nathaniel Mack. A video by Marina Zurkov and James Schmitz shows an animation of the Hudson River estuary in New York that responds to the real-time weather. When it's raining in New York, it's raining in the warehouse. This here is the video installation which we made reference to just a second ago by Marina Zurkov and James Schmitz, called Does the River Flow Both Ways from 2022. So these first 4 canvases on the wall are respectively from Magnus Blesen, Jürgen Drescher, Holt Quantel, Eric Nathaniel Mack, and Hadi Falapishi. This installation right here is a work by Katsushiro. This one here by Lisa Williamson, followed by this work by Louis Wimberger, and the installation straight after this by Sara Ramo. On the right, hanging on the wall, is a work by David Ellis, while this tilted over truck is a work by Barry McGee. So we hope that you appreciated the walkthroughs of these 3 amazing collections based in Miami, Florida. We hope that you, if you didn't know about these, that you learned something, or that if you already know about them, that you know a bit more after watching this clip, and let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.